conference here today. So let me bring up my colleague Roger here. Roger, good afternoon, live from London. How are you today, sir?
Good afternoon, Henrik. Good afternoon to the panel and to everyone who's watching. I'm fine today and very curious to hear the panel's views on how changes in the external environment are causing us to redesign, re-architect our businesses, our platforms, and our infrastructures.
Yeah, Roger, you're really a pioneer of the internet. And for those of us who are interested to learn more about the 5 decades of experience that Roger has, his video is also on CIONET TV. So, Roger, what are you expecting from this conference, The Fabric of Future-Proof Organizations?
I certainly think we are going to be looking at some very interesting sector-related experiences, retail, distribution, manufacture, and services. It's a very good spectrum, and I think we'll get some great insights.
Okay, so I suggest that we get started. So I brought everybody on the screen here. So welcome to all of you. And so we're going to get started with a quick round of the table. And I'm going to give all of you the opportunity to introduce yourselves in a couple of minutes. And so, Alexandra, I suggest that we start with you. Still very, very early in the morning in Silicon Valley where you are today. So Alexandra Zagury, you're VP at Cisco, but tell us a little bit more about yourself, about Cisco. And then please answer the question, digital is really changing marketplaces and sectors. So how is digital transforming the customer experience in your business? The floor is all yours, Alexandra.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. It's so exciting to be here today with this highly esteemed panel, and I'm really excited about the conversation. So my name is Alexandra Zagury, and I lead partner managed services at Cisco. This is about how we work with our partners to deliver customer outcomes and experiences, leveraging Cisco technology and our partners' technology. So, the subject of digital transformation and how digital is impacting our business is really a constant evolution that we're all living, because it's re-architecting all our businesses, from how we build products to how we partner to how we deliver what customers need. And that means that we have to change our operational model and our business model. So for Cisco, what that really means is we've been embarking on a transformation now for a couple of years. We have as a goal by 2025 to have 50% of our revenue be subscription-based revenue. And that's really a reflection of how we deliver customer outcomes to our customers with our partners by really abstracting our technology to that subscription, to that software layer. So we've re-architected our business through what we call platforms, right? We've abstracted that technology to deliver on customer outcomes, be it from a connectivity perspective, a security perspective, a collaboration and observability perspective. Because what's really, really important is not only that we deliver that connectivity, but we deliver it with security, and also that we have all the data to have that observability that we deliver to our customers, so that they can anticipate anything that happens in their environment before it actually happens. So at Cisco, our motto is, if it's connected, it's protected.
Okay, super. Alexandra, thank you so much for that introduction. How is the customer experience playing a role in how things are changing at Cisco today?
Yeah, for us, the customer experience is paramount, and that's really around simplification. So through automation, through new AI tools, through our observability platform, how do we ensure that we deliver a seamless customer experience, so that it's easy to use all our products, is easy to connect with Cisco, all the way from how you buy our products to then how you use them and how you manage them. And for that, we really need to partner. That's why partnerships with BT are so important, because with BT, we partner not only how they architect their infrastructure, so the underlay connectivity, but also the overlay connectivity. So how then they deliver connectivity and security to their customers. So that's how we're really impacting customer experiences. We're re-architecting our business. We're focusing on really those platform-based experiences. And then we're changing our partner model so that if we work with partners like BT, it just works better. We're able to deliver better customer experiences.
Okay, super. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Bart, you are in Brussels today. So tell us all about yourself, about Bridgestone, and how digital is changing your sector, and how customer experience is playing a key role in your business.
Absolutely, and thanks, Hendrik, for hosting us. So I'm Bart Kerkhofs. I'm the Vice President and Head of IT for Bridgestone EMIA. I'm here at the Bridgestone HQ in Brussels. Obviously, Bridgestone is a brand that's probably well known for its premium tires, but we do so much more. Yeah. But we're well known in the automotive industry, of course, and the automotive industry is being driven to change with what we sometimes use an acronym for. That's called CASE, and CASE stands for Connected, Autonomous, Shared, and Electric. And the way that is changing our environment is essentially a digital transformation. So the way that we do business, how we apply solutions, becomes more and more integrated in how we do business, how we sell, how we interact with our customers. So from an IT perspective, that's a very different way of understanding your role and how you support that overall objective that Bridgestone has, and digital technology becomes more and more a shared responsibility that we have to cater to. So the way that we've dealt with that is really specifically look at how do we build the right digital IT backbone, the so-called digital playground, the building blocks that help our business to be successful in what it's trying to achieve. How do we change our operating models to make sure that from that digital investment, we also get the most bang of our buck through multifunctional collaboration that allows us to be more agile, faster in the kind of solutions that we deploy. And last but not least, this is also about looking at the kind of partnerships you need to be successful in this business. Nobody can do this alone. And for that, we spend quite a bit of time also trying to understand which are the partners that are going to help us forward with that challenge in the future.
Yeah, but also what I remember from the video and interview that we had is that, I mean, the impact of the EV, of electric vehicles, is huge on your organization. And I understood that you have a noise lab. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, of course. I mean, we all know about, certainly in Europe, the electrification is unstoppable at this point in time. And the electrification of the fleets is putting very different requirements on a particular tire. And an electrical vehicle is heavier, it has more torque, looks for slimmer tires, less roll resistance, but also a tire has become pretty much the only part of an electric vehicle that still makes noise. So all of a sudden, noise engineering becomes a topic, and you can start asking questions like, should a tire make noise? What kind of noise? Yeah, so it becomes a very interesting topic that is certainly getting a lot more attention than it used to.
Okay, super, and we'll certainly talk more about that later. Let's go to France. Let's go to south of Paris. Let's go to Massy. Olivier Gibert, the global CTO of Carrefour, a very warm welcome to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and Carrefour and about what digital is doing to your marketplace, to your company, and especially also in a B2C company, what it does to the customer experience.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Henrik, for hosting me. Very happy to be here. So I'm Olivier Gibert. I'm the Global Chief Technology Officer for Carrefour. So my job is to enable transformation of our company through tech and data. Carrefour is an international retailer. We are operating in more than 40 countries worldwide. And our ambition is to be the leader of food transition for all. regarding digital, I would say how is the impact? I think it can be summarized in a sentence our CEO had some years ago, Alexandra. He said, we want to transform Carrefour, a traditional retailer with e-commerce capabilities, into a digital retail company which places e-commerce, technology, and data at the heart of its process, operation, and value creation model. And I think it's summarizing quite well what is the impact. Meaning, I've been part of Carrefour for almost 9 years. 9 years ago, we were investing in tech, in e-commerce, basically. But for the rest, I would summarize that IT was more an expense, and the objective was to keep it low. And I would say the benefits of being cutting edge in technology and data was not so clear for the top management. Now, in all domains, we are exploring how we can improve how technology or data, and within data, I say AI, for sure, generative AI, which is also the buzzword of the moment, but how we can leverage this enabler to improve our ways of working. So being more efficient, being more tailored to our customer, because in parallel, there is also a need of customer expectations are increasing, okay? We are no more in a world where you had offline shoppers and the online shoppers. Now we have customers and we need to take care of them to bring them seamless and valuable and relevant experiences, being more personalized, because you don't like when you get a recommendation for a product you never buy, okay? You need to have something which is relevant for you. So that's the ambition we have, and that's my job to identify which are the most impactful domain where we should launch initiatives to improve our experience provided to our customers.
Yeah. I can imagine that's quite a challenge. I mean, you have millions and millions of customers all over the globe, from Brazil to France to Romania, and and it's multi-channel at the same time. So that's not a small task, right?
Yeah, even if I would say our target is not to have a, let's say, I would say we have not so many customers buying in France, Brazil, and Argentina at the same time. So, but our challenge is, as you said, improve globally the experience and the value we propose. And from a tech perspective, what's important for me is we are coming from a situation where for decades, each country has been autonomous. So meaning the 40 countries, there are some franchisees which are managed by third-party companies, but 8 countries where we operate directly. Basically, we have 8 totally different landscapes in terms of technology. So you can imagine that bringing synergies is quite a challenge, but an interesting one.
Absolutely, and we certainly dive into that a little bit more when we talk about the operating model, the business models, and so on. And when we compare where we are at Bridgestone and DHL and Carrefour on that front. Dirk, live from Bonn, live from the headquarters of DHL Express there. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, about DHL Express, and how digital is impacting your sector and how customer experience is important in your business.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Dirk Olufs. I'm the CIO for DHL Express. So let's starting to recap what DHL Express is doing. You saw it in the video before. But basically what we're doing, we transport shipments and parcels around the world. We're very much specialized on one specific product, and this is a time-definite international product. So we're not really on the domestic side in Express. We really want to ensure that a shipment that is being shipped from somewhere in the world into another part in the world is being handled in the best possible position, time-wise, and from a transport-wise. You have seen probably all our yellow planes in airports. If you travel, these are the planes who carry these shipments. And that's what we do in 220 countries in the world. So basically in all countries in the world is a DHL Express presence. So let's talk about customer experience before we strive digitalization. And I think why is it so relevant? Because customer experience is an absolutely key focus in DHL Express. It's not only the movement of the shipment, what is key and requires a lot of precise planning and execution on the logistics side, but it's all bundled with a perfect customer experience, because customers expect that we handle their shipments not only safe, but also in a timely way through customs and through other areas where the shipment may go through. And the interaction with the customer is quite key. And in the past, we focused a lot to build up one of the best customer service organization to handle any type of inquiry that a customer may have. Be it track and trace, be it I have a problem with the shipment, I need to reroute, and what else can be a case. But now in the world of digitalization, all of these requests and all of these type of interactions with the customers go more and more the digital way. And probably most of you have seen it in your private life or in a business life. There are much more choices you can do now when a shipment arrives to you. You can choose options where to place it. You can ask DHL to hold the shipment for a couple of days because you're on vacation and all of that. So everything becomes much more interacted. Everything becomes more real time, and everything becomes even a more customer-centric interaction through digitalization. And the last thing I want to say on that one, we're now getting the next step to get even much more information real time from the customer, so that we can really go the extra mile with any transaction our customers have, and really be there if they need us to do any type of improvement of service. That's really, in a nutshell, what we do, how relevant the customer experience is, and what we do on digitalization with that regard.
Thank you so much, Dirk. An amazing organization. I also enjoyed in our interview that we've done, and that will be on CIONET TV very soon, will be published very soon. The culture of DHL was something expressed that really struck me. So thank you so much for that introduction. So Colin Bannon from the Midlands in UK, I understand. How are you today, sir? Tell us a little bit more about yourself, about BT Business, and how the customer experience plays a role in your marketplace.
Thank you, Hendrik. Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Bannon, and I'm the CTO of BT Business. Now, BT Business is the part of BT as whole, British Telecom, that serves the telecommunication needs, and that includes voice, contact center, networks, security, and managed services around that, for everything from IoT to quantum encryption. And the markets that we serve are the global multinationals. We serve customers in over 180 countries around the world, but also part of business, as well as the verticals that you would expect, the sectors you would, manufacturing, transport, banking. We also serve in the UK government and health, as well as a wholesale business where other service providers connect and take advantage of the national critical infrastructure that we run in the UK, as well as ministries of defense, and moving on to even small to medium business we also serve. So it's a very wide set of sectors that we're serving. And a bit like what Dirk was saying in the business of starting with customer service, what does digital really mean for me on this side is, our point of view is, our slogan is we connect for good. And we are, in a way, a bit like what Dirk was saying, we're in the logistics business of moving data around the world. So digital transformation for us is absolutely essential. As a telco in many years, as a service provider, our systems globally were relatively static. But we knew that we needed to transform our platforms on our networks and our systems, working with partners like Cisco, to move and be agile at the speed that our business customers required. And that was a big change for us. And we've gone down that journey to ensure that with security threats these days, you need agility. You need to be able to react fast, and you need to have an agile digital set of platforms that are service chained or connected, where you can start against a risk and auto remediate, and all the systems that are connected all the way down will actually flow and react in a timely way. From a sustainability, we also require great control of visibility on not just the data, and I'll talk about that perhaps a little bit later, but also on the control. And for our customers, digitalization, for us to give the best customer service, the platforms that we build today are not just about what BT can deliver. It's about connectivity to everything on net, and everything dynamically. And so there's huge ecosystems that we connect together. And providing marketplaces and ecosystems and control and visibility and the data to be able to do that with digital interfaces are supremely important. Okay. Hopefully that gives a quick view.
Absolutely, Colin. What I remember from our interview as well is that you said one of the big challenges that all companies, your customers, BT itself, that we're facing, that IT departments are facing, is increased complexity. I mean, things are getting more and more complex. So that's certainly also something that you work on as well, right?
Absolutely. I think complexity is probably, I don't know if my fellow panelist colleagues is, the complexity is not going down. If anything, it's going up, and the digitalization is a key tool to try to master that complexity and get in front of it.
Okay, super. Roger, over to you. Let's open up the discussion on the first topic of today. Could you please introduce that for us?
Of course. So thank you all for a really insightful view of how the market itself is changing. And it's not today all about how you deliver, but it's all about what you deliver. How are you going to extract value? In a digital economy, value is different. Expectations are different. Channels are different. Everything is changing outside the organization. And of course, there are big public issues around, for example, sustainability. All of these things need to be taken into account. So I think you're talking of a very fundamental change in what we mean by the marketplace, and what you offer, what solutions you offer as leading organizations. Given that those things are changing, the next big question, of course, is how do you re-architect your organizations? And as we all know, that's not a simple task. Most of your organizations has been around for decades, if not hundreds of years, and re-architecting is an enormous challenge, and particularly in a digital world where we are besieged by digital natives. Part of that re-architecting, of course, is changing your IT strategy and changing your IT models. And as one of you said, IT is no longer a cost. It's no longer an engine room. IT, or digital as we prefer to call it, is formative to everything that you do today and everything that your customers do. So clearly, the focus, the spotlight today is firmly on digital and on those people in the organization who can bring digital to the mainstream of the organization. Thank you.
Okay, Roger. So Alexandra, I would like to go to you first. I mean, you have a global position. You talk to many, many people around the planet, to many different industries. So you see that transformation imperatives really vary from industry to industry. So what do you see as the common themes today across industries when we talk about re-architecting businesses?
Yeah, I really see 5 main themes. You know, the first one is simplification, which is how do you simplify the business? And there's a trade-off, because you have to simplify through automation, but you also have to innovate. And innovate means bringing new technologies into your business. So how do you balance those two is one of the main challenges as you re-architect the business. The other one is security. As you're introducing new things to your IT environment, new technologies, new services, I mean, the whole promise of the platform economy is that it is extensible and interoperable, and that you can actually tap into the innovation of all these smaller ecosystem partners that can actually augment the outcome that you're trying to come. So how do you ensure that you are securing your users, your applications, your devices, whilst at the same time taking the telemetry and all that data to ensure that you're securing that you can actually predict before the bad actors get into your environments? Third, which I think we've touched a little bit upon, is efficiency. I mean, it's more and more important to ensure that we are that there is efficiency in terms of sustainability and so forth. Like, one of the big challenges is around offices, and how do you make those offices more sustainable? Cisco has been working with our partners, and we've seen that with the return to work, because of our technology, we've actually been able to decrease up to 35% power consumption. So those are metrics that matter, because our CEOs, our management teams are actually getting compensated on making sure that we're building the sustainable future. The fourth one is experience, and we've touched a little bit about that. That's really, how do we ensure that everybody has access to this technology, that it's intuitive, and that we can consume it through a platform, so that you have that end-to-end user experience. And the last one that we haven't really talked about is people, because when you are re-architecting your business, there are two things that are really important. First is the culture that you establish, and making sure that people are not resistant to changes and to the transformation and to the constant evolution. Because the thing about transformation is you're constantly having to reinvent. Sometimes you try, and sometimes you fail, and sometimes you have to go and try again until you get it right. And then the talent. The talent is one of the hardest things that we face when it comes to that fifth thing, right? How do we ensure that we have the right talent doing the right things? And because there is so much innovation and technology is evolving so much, you can't depend on just constantly hiring. You also have to have the in-house operating model, that you're constantly having learning systems, right? So that people can get up to date with what's coming next, and what you're trying to actually accomplish in your organization.
Now, Alexandra, Cisco has been around for, what is it now, more than 40 years, right?
Yes, nearly. We're coming up to our 40th anniversary. Very exciting.
I mean, huge tech company. So how do you, in a tech company, and how do you innovate inside the tech company? I mean, and you are changing your business model completely from a pure hardware to more like a service company as well. Tell us a little bit the hidden secrets of that change that you're going through.
Yeah, I think, innovation is also an interesting topic. I think, first of all, you have to foster it through your culture. You have to allow people to have the bandwidth to come up with new ideas, and you have to give them the environment to play out those new ideas, right? So at Cisco, I think myself and my team are a product of that. We saw how the partner ecosystem was evolving, and that our executive teams invested in building our team. So innovation is not just technical innovation. It's also how you operate, how you set up your organizational models, how you set up those activities. And our team is a product of that innovation. We realize that there isn't just one route to market. Our customers are consuming IT. They want to consume it as outcomes and experiences. That means that the channels by which they consume it are changing. So there's marketplaces, there's managed services, right? So we're seeing that more and more our customers are turning to partners like BT to abstract some of that complexity and put the right partnerships in place so that they can deliver IT as a managed service. So that's a little bit how we foster it, by allowing our teams to come up with ideas, not only from a technology innovation, but also from an operating model or commercial innovation. So the commercial innovation, I'll give you an example, which is our move to subscription. And how do you actually deliver IT, not just so that with that pressure of a big outlay, a big CapEx investment, but how you actually move our commercial models more to subscription or more to as a service.
Okay. And we can talk about tires as a subscription, maybe, Bart, and groceries as a subscription. So there's many models that we can look at. Olivier, if we look at Carrefour, I mean, you talked a little bit about the challenges already, but how is it that you're really re-architecting the business itself? What is the main changes that Carrefour is undergoing? And how do you make sure that you and your technology team supports that in the right way? And how does that impact your team?
Well, our customer expectation of in the recent past years, inflation changed quite significantly the game. Okay, the competition has increased on the price topic. During pandemic, it was it's an absolute peak of expectation regarding e-commerce. You can't imagine. We had some days 5 times the average number of order we were expecting to get. So at the end, technology is working, but at the end you need human, and scaling human is quite impossible. But however, I would say our permanent challenge is time to market. Okay, we have competitors, we need to stay ahead. And so we need to be able to adapt fast. Okay, so having, I don't know, a competitor who is developing a new offering, if we say, okay, in 2 years we will be ready, that's impossible. So this is a very important point. In terms of customer expectation, personalization, as I already said, is becoming key, and having seamless journeys between online and offline is also a key point. And for sure, efficiency, internal efficiency, we have to let's say to provide the best solution with a limited let's say capability is also key. How we do that? I think we are significantly changing the way we are working between technology teams and business teams. When I joined Carrefour 9 years ago, we had, I would say, the classical kind of supplier customer relationship. Hey, the IT teams, when will you be ready for my, I don't know, CRM system? And when it's working well, okay, that's good. But sometimes you get issues and efficiency is becoming not so obvious. What we did in the past 6-7 years, first on e-commerce scope, we moved to a more closer collaboration, which we are currently deploying at scale. We call it 4 in a box, meaning we removed this kind of contractual collaboration, supplier customer. We are switching to a company which is product oriented, meaning 4 in a box means we have a topic, we build a team with 4 different kind of skills in this box, which are business, product, tech and data, and UX and design. So if I dig a bit deeper, business teams are here to explain their issue, their problem. Okay, I need to have personalized promotion and to do it every week, for instance. Product team are here to design the product which will answer to the business needs. So the business is no more in charge, I would say, of finding the solution. It's the product team who has to design it and to make it evolve. Okay, they are in charge not of a project, but of a product which will evolve in time. Tech and data team are here to, I would say, to do the plumbing, if I may. So they are here to implement the solution. And finally, the UX and design team are here to work on the experience. And not only for the customer-facing solution, but also for the internal one. I think you've all seen, let's say, user interface designed by engineers. I'm not totally sure that it's the best approach we can have. Sometimes it's a bit, you see, could be optimized. So, and we've seen that combining these 4 skills is way more efficient. You are bringing everyone in the same place. They are working on a common topic, and we have the ability, let's say, to have release, to have deliveries quite often. Okay, to implement this, we are working in a kind of agile mode, of course, and we are developing this at scale. So as I was saying, we started with e-commerce. So our current platform, Carrefour.fr in France, has been built with such an organization. Now we are deploying such organization we call digital factories on all domains, on merchandise domain, on supply chain domain, on finance domain, on HR domain. And so we are building this set of factories which are each combining this 4-in-a-box approach. And this is bringing us value. And yeah, I can just say I've seen the before and now, and it's totally different and way more efficient.
Okay, let's in a moment go to Bart and see how that is at Bridgestone. But I also wanted to invite, first of all, everybody in the panel here to ask questions to the other people, and so it's not just one by one. Just please make this as interactive as you would like. We have more than 200 people that have joined us on the interactive chat of people that are following this conference. So in the chat, please also post your questions there, and the team will bring that to the attention of the panel here. So Bart, when I listen to what Olivier just said, is this what you have or are undergoing at Bridgestone as well, this change in operating model?
Yeah, sure, of course. And I think a lot of what has been said sounds fairly familiar. Yeah. So just starting from the point that somebody said, hey, IT used to be, or traditional IT used to be a cost center. Yeah. I associate it also a little bit like, hey, IT, do as you're told, you're an order taker. And I think the consequence of that, certainly at Bridgestone for many, many years, has been that has led to fragmented solutions, fragmented systems, fragmented data sets. And in this new world where we're really looking at, hey, how can we digitally realign our assets? How can we get more from the data we generate or what we can do? And like I said, I used the word shared responsibility, but when there's a shared responsibility around digital innovation and digital transformation, it means that you have to start looking at a much, much more collaborative model. Yeah. And I very often, and probably my people hear me say a few times a day, it's our objective in IT to transform from an order taker to a collaborator. And essentially, when you're a collaborator, whether you want to collaborate, there's a few things you need. First of all, you need a place to collaborate. Yeah. So we focused over the last few years a lot on building that place. And I call that the digital playground, which is essentially an agile, a scalable, a secure, but also sustainable set of infrastructure and application building blocks that start to become more and more the foundation of our digital journey. Yeah. Another aspect of that, if you want to be a collaborator, you really need to look at sort of the rules of the game. And in a modern IT or modern digital environment, it's important that you create a model that really invites the different functions that probably in a more siloed or in a more traditional environment have been siloed. Yeah, it's really important that you develop a model where there is a lot more multifunctional collaboration. And then particularly, you'll find that a lot of the times IT is sort of that largest common denominator across those different functions in the company. So I think that IT has a role to play and has a prominent role to play in transforming how the company operates or thinks in terms of solutions and drives that digital journey. Yeah, and like I said, I think the role that our partners play in that is also extraordinarily important. But that's sort of how we had to. Yeah, that's sort of how at Bridgestone we had to realign how we operated, how we collaborated, and how we looked for defining our digital roadmaps together. Yeah.
Okay. Can I say something? I really love this. I love this concept of digital factories and digital playgrounds. It really puts IT as a multidisciplinary function. And so it really changes how it impacts who you hire and how you bring them together. And then it also brings up this theme of what is the technology and infrastructure that you deploy to enable digital factories and digital playgrounds. And that's what's really, really interesting, because there's collaboration technologies at Cisco. We've been partnering with BT on this. How do we reinvent the office to make the office a magnet, not a mandate? And if you, I think, Bart, you were telling me that you came to our One Pen office, right? And you saw some of the things that we've actually deployed, how we do conference rooms, how we enable those spaces that actually create the digital playgrounds. And, you know, we talk a lot about digital transformation around all the things that we need to do, but talking about digital factories and digital playgrounds really gets me excited about all the different opportunities that there are. Not just, you know, the barriers that we have and the things that we have to conquer, but there's also, it's an opportunity for all of us to really reinvent how people work and how people innovate.
Yeah, maybe I interject here a question from the audience. And Alexandra asked us, well, are we moving from a project to a product organization? How do we measure in that and evaluate the efficiency and the effectiveness when we work in that model? And anybody can take the question.
At Carrefour, maybe I can say some words about how we do it at Carrefour. So sure. We have what we call the digital value tower. So meaning we have a team which is in charge to perform quarterly business review with each 4-in-a-box team to ensure, okay, we agreed that last quarter we had to deliver these capabilities, these business capabilities. I'm speaking about business capabilities, this business value. What's the situation now? Okay, did we deliver it or not? Did we partially deliver it? So that's something we are currently implementing for all digital factories to ensure, okay, is the value here? Because as I said, we don't have budget to perform all and to deploy, to enable all initiatives. So we have to prioritize strongly, and we have to be able to postpone, to reschedule, reorganize an initiative in case it's not bringing value, because it can happen. Okay, it's not. We don't have only silver bullets. So that's the way we ensure, and we don't fall into the trap of, okay, we allocate budget and then teams are doing their best, but sometimes it's not bringing value. So that's a way to avoid, I would say, micromanagement, but to have regular gates where we sit together and we see, okay, how did we do it?
Okay.
But I think I'd just like to add one other reflection, and I love the fellow panelists' comments, the digital factory and the digital playground. Looking up from the network, I think something's going to change in the next 2 years significantly, the way it's going, because of complexity and also because of convergence. The disciplines of security and DevOps and NetOps are converging, right? And they're almost blending into one single unified field. So today we may still have some maturity issues in how we procure and how we operate and how we do business cases, but that's going to change with things like FinOps over the next 2 years. So where now you have a security tower that's completely isolated and they do something and they high-five each other and they save some cost and they've moved the pain to another tower, and vice versa and vice versa and vice versa. But this concept of a holistic, where it was DevOps, security, whatever, I think now you're going to see those 4-in-a-box teams maybe grow to sort of at least at a macro level, to a NetSec DevOps model.
We need a new word for that.
Yeah.
It's getting too long.
The acronyms. Yeah. But I think that's where it's going. It really feels like that right now.
It's so important what you're saying, Colin, because the value that we can jointly deliver to our customers that are here is really at the intersection of these disciplines. Yeah. And that has impacted us on how we build technology, and thereby why we're adopting a platform approach. And it also impacts, I'd love to hear from our fellow customer panelists, how it's impacting how they organize and architect their businesses, right? Because enterprise architecture used to be very based on the silos. You used to have your vertical teams, and now you have to have those horizontal teams. I've seen the the rise, for example, of the role of the site reliability engineer, which brings the best practices of software engineering with IT operations and IT management. And I've seen it been very popular to hire folks that do that. So this intersection of disciplines is impacting us all.
Absolutely. Dirk, you wanna add to that? I mean, you're
well, on the project to product journey, yes, I think everyone is on that journey. And I think one key comment is, and it's related to the topic order taker to value contributor and all of that, that I believe a lot of colleagues are struggling really to identify what really the value of a next sprint or a next activity really is. And this, I mean, and this is not an IT job only, because if you really do that product thing properly, you have the representation, not only in IT in it, but you have it with the business colleagues and with the entire team setup. And I believe this is a journey that, you know, in our organization has lifted off, but I wouldn't say we are at the maximum of what we could achieve. And this is still a learning journey and still something that is going better and better over time. But I think it's for sure the right thing to do in my view. Okay. So that's the comment on project to product, Henrik.
Okay, we have another question from the audience here, and that is on how do you organize a global, worldwide organization and IT organization? How do you? What's the best way to model that? I mean, DHL, you're in every country. Colin, you're in 180 countries. Olivier, I understood 20 countries. So all very, very distributed around the world. So how do you model that that collaboration, global, central, local, and so on? Dirk, you want to elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I can start. I think it matches a lot the business strategy, and maybe talking a bit on how we do our business and how the IT response is to that, right? So if you ship or if you do business with DHL in 220 countries, you expect DHL to provide the same capabilities in all of the countries. So the look and feel should be the same, you know, the billing should be the same, the track and trace should be the same, the data should be the same, all of that should be the same. And with that in mind, we designed systems and an architecture that's accommodating all of that. So we built that centrally, but we deploy it in 220 countries. So that's one core element. It's built centrally and deployed in all countries in the world. And we're getting feedback for further innovation and functional enhancements directly from the countries and from the markets, because we're also aware of not every market has exactly the same requirements. So we need to be a bit more flexible in that one. Now, from the execution point of view, there's a second element in it. And I mentioned the very customer-centric business culture we have. And even that we are mirroring on the IT side. So in the most of the teams, we have IT technical teams who can help the customer to maximize the potential of our solution, let's say with their warehousing, or how to set up an API integration in a very effective way, and helping if something doesn't work. So we have IT experts in many, many markets, very close to the countries and very close to where the real action is working. So the support structure and the enablement structure is decentral, while the application development is a clearly central activity. Okay. So that's in a nutshell how we operate.
Okay, Bart, you wanna compare that, how that is at Bridgestone maybe?
Yeah, I think our model is quite different. I think first of all we're a manufacturer, so we have about 16 different plants across the specific region here. But we're also a retailer, yeah, and we have I think close to 6,000 retail outlets that in some shape or form we manage across the different region, and those have obviously very, very different requirements, and often when you embark on a transformation like this, you'll see that several parts of the organization also sort of transform or run at very different speeds and have very different requirements than that. Now, that said, tires are oddly enough, maybe some people don't look at it like that, but they're a very regional product. Yeah, countries have very different car cultures, very different kind of roads, very different kind of climates or geological circumstances. So that causes there's a lot of variations all across the market, and certainly that creates lots of different flavors of how we do business in these markets. Now, it's been important to for us to sort of get a bit of a grip on that and do look at how can we define more common solutions like a retail shop in a box or POS system. So to get consistency across how we use data and how we connect. And the same thing from a factory point of view. Yeah, like how do we define common data models? How do we apply common algorithms around AI? Now, that's been a journey for us. Yeah, and I very often say, and people hear me say that as well, it's an evolution, not a revolution, taking also really into account the fact that there are different speeds across the company. We're not all going there at the same pace. We're not all going to arrive in the same place at the same time. And I think certainly that's been important recognition for us. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting to talk about these models. I think both in how do you delivery model as organization model and the international model. Our good friend Brenno from Gentile from Heineken asked the question here: what's your experience and learning of this transforming the organization itself? So the people side of going from a project-based way of working to a product-based way of working. So that's an open question to the panel here.
Maybe I start? I just want not coming on the product to product, but just talking about culture and people. And I think it's quite important that we not only talk about the technology part of that. I believe in DHL, we are quite a very people-centric organization. And what we mean with that is that we really want to strive, as you saw in the intro, that me personally, but I think a lot of people, managers in Express do the same, want to coach and develop people in the organization to strive their potential. And it's also interesting, as an organization, we are a great place to work, number one, globally. What you wouldn't expect a logistics company who work under very, very difficult conditions at night, at winter, in rain, night sorts and all of that our people telling these external great place to work company that they're really, really happy with working for DHL. So, and that has something also to do when you talk about IT and all of that transformational aspect. We have very loyal IT people around the world. We have people around who know the business inside out, who know the customers inside out, and they only strive to build better solutions for them. And what we try to do in the next years is that we're really not focusing only on technology in IT, but we focus much, much more on the talent side of things. I think someone in the panel said the same thing as well. How can we help people to learn the next level of skills? How can we coach people that there are better people understanding how to work effectively with the business? Because with that, it will drive the right culture of collaboration, the right culture of taking risks instead of doing other things, and creating a culture where innovations, we call it the intrapreneurs, that internally you get a mindset of that you build the best out of all of these four elements. And it all is surrounded in Express with a program we ran for many years where we really put a lot of appreciation engagement together with a program that we call I Love IT, that really puts our people in the heart of everything towards the business. And people appreciate that, the business appreciates that, and it really brings the right mindset and spirit to go the extra mile. Just want to record on the respond on the product to product change, but I believe all of the big changes we're going through requires great, motivated, and talented people. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult.
Okay. Anybody else on this topic? Otherwise, what I suggest, because there's lots of interesting questions coming in, and please be my guest and in the panel here, pick your favorite question. Otherwise, I wanted to, we already touched a little bit on it. I want to go to you, Colin, and you mentioned sustainability is, of course, a big driver at the moment in organizations. And that also trickles down to the IT organizations and everything that we have to do there, and the opportunities that are there to work on sustainability with IT. So what's BT's view on innovation and how can it help CIOs to achieve the net zero goals?
Well, I think I'll do 5 things, just 5 things we've learned in BT about sustainability, just to share for those. And I'd love to get feedback from my colleagues on this as well. So first of all, investors, governments, and regulators want concrete proof of progress. This is now every investment meeting, every government meeting. They want, it's part of the company annual reports. They want detailed sustainability data. It's increasingly a requirement in contract stipulations, from whether it be governments through to purchasing organizations. So we know that this is now top of the agenda, not just with the external, but also within the people within the organizations, which I'll talk about in a second. The second part, I guess, that we learned was the attention to scope 3 emissions is increasing. The initial stages of improving sustainability saw organizations tackling their scope 1 and 2 emissions because they were within their immediate control. They could get a hold of those and work on them. But when it comes for the scope 3 emissions, up to 95% of all organizations' emissions come indirectly from their supplier value chains. And so they're turning to their supply chain partners for data to actually help them start to get a grip on that. So that sort of leads on to number 3, which is robust data is the best defense against, the accusations of greenwashing. People are looking much more seriously now that this so-called greenwashing has been fairly big in terms of the accusations out there. We've seen 2/3 of executives around the globe have doubts whether or not their company's sustainability efforts were actually genuine. And since 2021, the European Commission, for instance, found that 42% of sustainability claims were false. So, today, a public accusation of greenwashing can be extremely damaging to a corporation. So actually underpinning this in a more substantial and data-driven way is actually really important. So, that affects reputation, it affects trust, it affects status. So number 4, I guess, is an upside to this, is effective carbon cutting, we found, actually often brings cost savings to the business. So there's a good bottom line. It not only makes sense for the planet and the people in the planet, but it's actually just good business to get a grip on this. And so, for instance, after the 2022, the global energy crisis caused fuel prices, they surged by an average of 50%. For BT, for instance, that was hundreds of millions of additional unforeseen cost in our operation costs that were loaded on from energy costs. And for every percentage we actually move the dial on this, it actually makes a real difference to the bottom line of what we're doing. So optimization of operations to minimize energy use makes financial as well as good environmental sense. And then I guess finally, the 5th one we sort of realized is that genuine sustainability credentials help retain and also attract talent, right? So people do, particularly the new generations, 71% of workers consider an organization's environmental record when deciding whether or not to accept it.
That's super important, of course, in order to attract young people that are more concerned with the planet than maybe the bit older generations
100%.
were.
100%. Yeah. It's really, really important. So those are 5 things. And I guess from BT, what have we done from a technology perspective? very quickly, we are re-architecting all of our networks to collapse into a multi-service global fabric. And it's built on the latest hardware, which is more efficient, it's more functional, and it's much more reliable than the legacy equipment. It's connected to all the things that you want to, and all the cloud locations around the world. There's about 16% less footprint. There's 16% less devices in the network now, working with partners like Cisco in the international networks. Now, what's interesting is those devices and the platforms and the systems that we were able to converge, that's about 64% more efficient. So when all of this is combined, we're actually delivering a network that's about 79% more energy efficient than the existing networks today, which is transformational. We're quite keen on this, that we'll be able to report, there'll be new requirements from customers to have a dashboard there to say, what is my efficiency? And if you think about the scope 3, this will be part of the supply chain, your digital supply chain, to say, to move all my data around the world, this is the far more better energy coefficient. And we'll have energy dashboards to sort of say watts per megabyte of data. There'll be something that's not created yet, but there will be some new equation on how people will have an apples to apples to do that. And this also, the way the devices that we consume, the embodied emissions, the emissions that cost how these devices were created in the production of these devices, they're about 83% less energy used in how they were created. So we've got this sort of circular economy of energy efficiency that we've really put at the heart, sustainability at the heart of how we're designing for the future.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Now let's go to, in logistics, in retail, in manufacturing, you're all creating a lot of there's still a lot of work to be done to become net zero, I think. So what's the impact today, and really in a nutshell, on your IT organization?
For Carrefour, I would say, regarding the IT part, as we are moving to public cloud, we have tools to, let's say, to know about our carbon footprint, but I would say it's a very limited part of our CO2 emission. Our topic, to be clear, is stores. In our stores, we have fridges, okay, we are consuming electricity, and also the supply chain. So on this one, we have different initiatives. So we are improving our store consumption with hypervision systems to be sure that, okay, we are heating or cooling at the right level. We are deploying solar panels in all our stores in France. But supply chain is still a topic, even if we are mostly scope 3, but we have to work also with our partners to improve that. So there is still a lot of topics to be investigated, and yeah, it's a challenge. It's an ongoing challenge for us.
Okay.
And I think if I just comment on that for Bridgestone, and I think, first of all, we look at sustainability as a key competitive advantage. Yeah, it's at the heart of what we want to do. We have the ambition to address one of our generation's biggest challenges, which is mobility and climate in general. Yeah, and we're certainly very proud of our EcoVadis Platinum certification. But sustainability is also much more than just CO2. It's about deforestation. It's about responsible sourcing. It's about how you treat water, how you do recycling, product life cycle management. And to do that properly, the challenges for a CIO are enormous. Yes, and in just a few years' time, we've developed a whole new suite of applications to help us with that, and to help us with all kinds of reporting responsibilities that we all have all of a sudden. And I think the learning curve has been enormously steep so far, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So this is certainly something that is one of my main challenges to address that in the next few years.
And just on that topic, we could elaborate at least 2-3 hours with this panel. So in looking at the time, we only have 22 minutes left. Roger, You've been in infrastructure and in connectivity and so on for many big parts of your career. Why don't you take us to this last chapter that we want to discuss in this conference?
Thank you very much, Henrik. One of the things that we've really noticed in our most recent interviews with digital leaders across Europe is the need for synchronicity. Now, I think synchronicity meaning alignment with the market, alignment with the business structures and policies, and alignment with IT in all its guises, whether it's application development, products, platforms, infrastructure. So I think we've done a great job covering the marketplace, what's going on there, and of course the business itself and the need for collaboration across the business, across the marketplace, and finally across IT. But we all know that most organizations today are still bogged down with legacy systems that are decades old, infrastructures that are decades old. We've got to escape from all of that. And certainly in the last 10 years, cloud has made an enormous difference. And I think we're only just starting out on the cloud journey when you think of the tools and techniques that can be implanted there. So I'm really keen to finalize the discussions today with an emphasis on what does the core digital platform need to look like, and how do connected infrastructures, the sort that Colin has talked about, enable us to achieve the synchronicity between IT, business, and marketplace.
Dirk, you maybe want to take this question?
Yeah, it's a very broad question, and 20 minutes is not enough time to answer. I just want to get some view from a DHL Express point of view. I think over the last 10 years, we spent enormous effort to streamline our application landscape. And we call it the big convergence initiatives that we've done. We had thousands of systems in the network, and actually now we have a couple of hundred where we put the main innovations in it. And yes, all comes with new technology. Yes, we still have the one or the other old dinosaur, but we're in the process to get rid of all of them. And that's a very important step. And here in my office, you see probably an old CPU at the end, because I asked the team, guys, can you really prove that you sunset an old system? So bring me the CPU of the system. And I have it here in my office, and I look at that. It's a good symbol for convergence. And I haven't collected all the 3,000, but it's a good symbol for success. Now, with the platform now, we have now much more opportunities because the data models are synchronized and harmonized. We have data warehouses, other big customer-facing systems who are the same for everyone. Omni-channel is but much easier, and all of these type of things. So that's one element of it. And as I said earlier, we need to ensure that all these core systems work everywhere in the world, meaning you have countries where the infrastructure is maybe not that developed like in others, and we need to ensure by design that all of that stuff works everywhere with the same look and feel, with the same performance, and with the same service levels, etc. So that's a quite important step for us. Yeah.
And with good or bad connectivity, with or without cloud, right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go next on this question from Roger here?
Yeah, I can elaborate on this. I think at Carrefour we don't have hundreds of applications. We still have thousands, so you're lucky, Dirk. And the good news is we don't have the requirement you have to have the, let's say, uniform way of working. Okay, as I said, we are operating directly in 8 countries. It doesn't matter if things are different from one country to another in terms of we don't need the same application. We currently don't have the same application. How do we re-architect our platform? I think as I said, we need to be fast. And so public cloud for us is quite obvious. We have made the decision for already some years to move to public cloud. And I remember, I think it's you, Bart, you were saying you're becoming a tech company, more and more a tech company. My personal experience at Carrefour is at some point we believed we could become a tech company. In fact, it wasn't a good idea. We're not so good to implement our own private cloud. Okay, we tried, and finally, public cloud is way better to deliver value to customers. So we are approaching technology this way. We try to be very humble on that. Public cloud is very interesting for us because it's bringing tons of services. And as I said to my team, we're not in the situation where we have to come to, I don't know, Google or Microsoft to say, hey, your platform is not enough for me. Okay, we have ways, lots of things to implement to use all their capabilities. So cloud is a very important lever for us. And then in terms of, I would say, global implementation, we are more relying on a best of breed approach, combining for some domains, buying softwares, for some others where we consider, okay, we need to have probably better control on it, where we consider it's more competitive advantage to have it in-house. And in this case, we build some systems. So it's a mix of this. And we are moving to cloud. We have a target of being 100% cloud by end of 2026, which is so far so good. So we are at almost 70%. But and yes, clearly I've seen the difference between before where it took too much time to deliver value, and clearly public cloud has helped us a lot. It's not the magic sauce, of course. It's only building blocks. You need then to architect your full platform correctly, but it's helping a lot.
Okay, thank you, Olivier. Alexandra, please add to that.
So I think it's important to start with my favorite explanation of what a platform is, and it comes from Bill Gates. He says that a platform is when the economic value of everybody that uses it exceeds the value of those that create it. Then it's actually a platform. And so for us, as we are thinking about re-architecting our business from a platform perspective, and if you look across all our technology domains, we have a networking platform, we have a security platform, we have an observability platform, we have a collaboration platform, and then tying them all together, we have the PX and the CX cloud, which is our partner and customer experience cloud that ties all of this together. And there's a design principle. It needs to be extensible, it needs to be interoperable, and it needs to be open so that people can develop on top of it, right? And so we approach it has to do 5 things. First of all, it has to create speed to market. So you need to ensure on-demand scalability so that you can, whether it's microservices, whatever you're putting on top of that platform, I think Olivier talked about it earlier, it has to deliver on the promise to decrease the time to market. The second piece is it's really how we move away from focusing on just component integrations to data and services integration. Today, we've talked a lot about that data, right? And so we need to really understand how all of these disciplines come together to provide that data that gives the visibility, the insight, so that we can take the actions in that IT operating environment. The other thing that's really interesting from an experience perspective is that platforms combine the technology, so that the technology that underlies that platform with the operation of that outcome. People don't want swivel chairs. They want to be able to consume that technology, but also operate it in the same place. So that's the other thing that we, when we're approaching this, we think about. The other one, which is a little bit sometimes less popular with us, is how do you go from point products to solutions to multi-vendor outcomes? And this is where our partnerships become really, really important, because unfortunately it is a multi-vendor world. Although I do think that there is a case to be said that it's about the vendors, who do they partner with, and why our partnership with BT is so important to deliver those really unified, simplified experiences. And last but not least is how do you get a platform to really leverage the ecosystem of partners? So you take, for example, Meraki. Meraki is one of our technologies that delivers that network experience. And we work very closely with Colin and team on how we deliver the full power of the Meraki platform, a cloud-based networking platform. But then Meraki also, that platform has 250 ecosystem partners that augment those outcomes that Meraki delivers. So think of it, it's not just about delivering Wi-Fi ubiquitously throughout Carrefour's environment or DHL's offices or Bridgestone's factories. It's also, what are those ecosystem players that augment those outcomes, all the way from using for our cameras, and then maybe an application from an ecosystem vendor that takes the data from those cameras and delivers a specific use case. So those are the things when we look at how we're re-architecting our platform. Just to summarize, on-demand scalability, ensuring that those data and service integrations are there, ensuring that we're not creating swivel chair experiences, that we're combining the technology and the operation of that use case, ensuring that we're bringing the whole power of the ecosystem together, and working sometimes with partners that might be our competitors or might be our partners, right? So that's how we approach it.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexandra. Bart, on infrastructure cloud, I know that you're gonna close down your data center almost very soon. Does that mean that you're also gonna put your old mainframe in your office somewhere, or so? How does that go?
Well, actually, the great news is that we actually closed our data center last week. Yeah, so that's done, and obviously, thanks to Dirk, I have this brilliant idea to get some evidence of that. I want to see something physical of that data center in my office very soon. Yeah, but the reality is that, okay, we've had a co-hosted, a co-located data center, somebody in the UK where nobody from Bridgestone has ever been. So for all intents and purposes, it was a cloud as well. But the important part is that yes, we're now fully a cloud-enabled, cloud-native operation, and that comes with all the tools and all the bells and whistles for optimization and for running a modern digital environment that we've been looking for. Granted, there's still a lot of challenges. Yeah, some of the work that we've done is pure lift and shift, and there's a big need to clean that up. You know, otherwise having old applications run on a cloud is just really expensive, and it's a hindrance. So some of the work is still happening now. But we've taken that hurdle, and certainly for our team, that's been an accomplishment we celebrated.
Okay, congratulations to that. There's a question from Evren and in the audience. I would like to ask specifically you, Bart, what the current status of digitalization is, but then in your field of manufacturing technologies, is that because that's different than typical enterprise technologies?
Yeah. I think that's a really broad question, yeah. But clearly, in our manufacturing space, digitalization is one of our, let's say, key, maybe one of our strategic objectives. Doing more with the data we have, more with the data we generate, using that in all fields, using that in combination with artificial intelligence to optimize our processes, to minimize scrap, to bring more sustainable solutions, to have smarter energy consumption. So it's the status is that it's ongoing, but what do you compare it to? But obviously that's one of our key priorities for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now we've done almost 82 minutes now in this conference, so we have 8 minutes left. And we've hardly talked about AI, by the way. It's quite a surprise these days. But Colin, I wanted to have the last question here to you. I mean, as BT, you're into infrastructure and connectivity. Where do you see the biggest trends in the infrastructure marketplace, and how do you see customer needs changing, and how are you addressing that?
Yeah, I want to just riff on the back of what Bart said earlier about OpEx costs, and I guess sitting behind that, Bart, there might have been the concept of bill shock as well from the hyperscalers. Our point of view is, because we see the packets moving back and forth in whatever direction is going with the plumbing is we're less about private versus public, which Olivier was also talking about. It's more about we're seeing the trends of businesses becoming a lot more nuanced and on their choices of where they place their workloads based on requirements. So our point of view is let the app decide, because there is a propensity based on in different sectors, in different manufacturing modes or different transport nodes, the way of working, the apps for certain sectors, whether it be one company or another, they have certain characteristics. And also certain apps have greater propensity and on where they would be best placed. Some of them need to be very close to the manufacturing environment. Some of them actually might need to be best placed in the future at the edge of the mobile radio network for smart roads and smart transport. Some apps are very deterministic. You know exactly what the performance is going to be, but they talk a lot. So maybe that's sort of an all-you-can-eat model. Put that into a private compute. And then some apps you really don't necessarily know, and they're very variable. And that burstability and that flexibility of growth and demand on the public cloud environment is absolutely brilliantly as well. I think one of the things we're seeing in terms of infrastructure and innovation is really the wide area network is performing, as Bart has shut down his data center this week, the wide area network is performing the function of the data center LAN. And remember that data center LAN, you know, when you had a monolithic app, when you'd get into trouble, you'd know the name of the top of the rack switch. It had infinite bandwidth. It had great microsegmentation. It had great security. We need to have those with a digital interface in the new wide area networks, because it's carrying the load of apps that have been exploded and spread across cloud, whether you're bringing Google Analytics or other things like that. So it's really important now to be thinking about a fabric model to underpin your digital transformation. So that's one that's really quite interesting for us. Okay. The other part that Alexandra said was just around the ecosystem. And I think, you know, just as an example for us, where, you know, it's not going to just be BT. The new network that we're building, 630 new digital service providers we're bringing on net, and 700 data centers that we don't own ourselves. Creating these ecosystems, stitching the fabric together is super important.
Okay, thank you so much, Colin. We're almost coming to the end of our 90 minutes. Roger, the fabulous task to you to bring us some summary of the ideas that were shared here today. What did you learn?
Thank you, Henrik, and thank you again all the panel for your inputs. Firstly, fascinated by how many of you see your business changing fundamentally from, for example, manufacturing and product in the Bridgestone context to solutions, even technology-based solutions for the future. And I think we're all in the process right now of redefining exactly what business we're really in. Are we really encompassed in one particular sector, or are we moving across sectors? And certainly I think that Tesla was a great example of a company that started out making electric vehicles, but today would say it's in the mobility and energy businesses. Just think about that for a moment, how far the pendulum has swung. I think secondly, what's been really interesting is the emphasis you've all placed on people and culture. You can't move an organization through pure technology. That's not going to work. It's got to be a cultural shift, a massive cultural shift. And that implies great leadership. Without leadership, you're not going to get anywhere at all. And again, we emphasize, I think, particularly in our cookbooks, what does leadership in a digital world actually mean? What are the defining characteristics of leadership? And I think we're getting quite clever at understanding now that there are a number of different factors that define the leadership. And I think the third area I like a lot, what was mentioned, I think, by Carrefour and Olivier, was the 4 in the box. How do you get synchronicity between IT and the business? How do you can talk about it, but in practice, how does it really work? How do you get the right skills, the right environment, the right objectives, and the right governance to make that work? All of those things have to change. They're so different to the way we were working 5 or 10 years ago. And I think the final comment really is about the digital platform. Sometimes I worry. I lived through distributed processing in the 80s and 90s, where everyone went out and found their own solutions. And then suddenly came the big monolithic EDP eras of SAP, Oracle, etc. We've got to put it all into some monolithic application, then it'll work for everyone. And now we're dismantling that. We're taking it apart. We're literally bringing in hundreds, if not thousands, of SaaS services into our organizations. We are using multiple cloud platforms, and those are only going to get bigger. How do we, as Alexandra said, how do we simplify? Because right now we're complicating. And I think the challenge going forward is going to be, how do we manage in a very versatile, very complex environment in a secure way? So this is really where I put the challenge back to yourselves. I think there's some very good answers already, but we're only just started.
We're at the top of the hour. I'm going to give a yes/no question to everybody, and a thank you to everybody. Alexandra, the topic of today was our future-proof organization. Is Cisco a future-proofed organization?
I think it's the ultimate future-proof organization. Just the fact that we're a Silicon Valley-based company that is going into its 40th year shows that we've been able to evolve and adapt to technical change, and we are just reinventing ourselves, as Roger just said.
Bart, thank you so much for being with us today. Is Bridgestone future-proofed?
I think absolutely. We've been around for 90 years. We'll be around for 90 more.
Okay. DHL, is that a future-proof organization? Dirk, tell us your opinion.
Absolutely. We're up for the challenges, not only on the digital side, but on the ESG side, the green area, green logistics, etc. We are pioneers in many ways. Actually, we invented that business model, time-definite international product, 1969. So we really know that inside out. That's why we are in 220 countries. And there's no doubt that we will be in 220 countries in many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirk. Olivier, for my favorite retailer, Carrefour, are you future-proofed?
Yeah, definitely. I would say yes. I would say make the same comment as Dirk. We've been here for a bit more than 60 years, and we do not plan to leave the market in the upcoming years. So yeah, we are ready for the next years.
Thank you so much, Olivier. And last word to you, Colin. Is BT a future-proofed organization?
Hey, look, we're not complacent. We're humble about this, and we're hungry. Yeah, but I'd like to say, in our field, in what we do, I'd like to think that we are helping invent the future.
On that note, we've come to the end of this conference. I thank the panel. I thank my team, who has done a great job in putting all this together. I thank the audience that was with us, and the recording of this conference will be available very, very soon on all our channels. Thank you so much, and see you very soon.
Hola. Benvenuti. Witamy.
For the last 15 years, I've been on a quest to discover the DNA of the most successful digital leaders in the world. What makes them tick, what's in their minds and in their hearts. We are sharing deep insights from our world-class CIOs so that you get inspired, can learn and reach your full potential as a digital leader. If you are an ambitious technology executive, then I invite you to join CIONET. Join our community so that you too can realize your ambitions.